Welcome to the Sleeping Barber Podcast.
The post-pod time.
There we go.
Mary Kyriakidi. Although you say that much better than I do. It's like
Mary Kyriakidi.
that's it.
That's
Yeah. I have to channel my inner Greek. Mary Kyriakidi.
Mary.
No, Mary.
Mary. She's gonna be listening. She's like, "What are you guys doing?"
You guys
That's
are
my name. Don't wear it
goofballs.
out. We are a little goofy, loopy.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Well, first of all, let's
Steve-
recognize the fact this third time on the
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
One of the OGs, and we love everything that she brings to the conversation. And we talked about a few things,
Mhm.
and it felt like we covered a lot of ground. There was a few things that stood out to me. The role of price in the marketing strategy. We got a little bit into the meaningful difference once again. Obviously,
Mhm.
Kantar's really famous for that. What else did we have?
Future power.
The future power. Yeah. Do you want to start there?
Sure. Yeah. So the summary on that one is that brands with more equity today than expected, given their brand size, which is their future power, are primed to grow and grow faster in comparison to brands with less equity. So yeah, I think there's an interesting component there, which is to say that like the way you do things, I think matters, and the amount of memories you're building. And because you talked about mental availability, things that they believe in still, it's just there's something else. And I think it's the meaningful difference component, like being perceived as different is sort of the nut, if I can say it, of that way of what makes the Kantar model different from, say, the Ehrenberg Bass model.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I think the perception of being different and more meaningfully different than competitors is one of the key components, and the scale at which that happens is the mental availability, and the physical availability then is the footprint that you're creating. So I get that. I think it's definitely interesting. What were your takes on, or your thoughts on it?
Well, I just want to quickly touch on the meaningful difference, and for those that maybe have not heard that before, it's really kind of here. Let me see how I compartmentalize this the right way. Being unique isn't enough. Is kind of like the crux of it. Brands need to both different and meaningful to consumers. So this goes a long way in strengthening things like brand equity. It supports pricing power, and it also allows to drive long-term growth. And it's worth mentioning that when we're thinking about sometimes these frameworks, is understanding the role that they play in that ability of driving, say, long-term and short-term growth. And
Yeah.
I think we can't understate it enough that you need to start rooting yourself in something to be able to do that. And I think when I think about pricing power and things like that, there's always the usual suspects that come to mind. I think we talked about Apple as a part of the conversation and things like that they're able to demand higher pricing power because they're, at least to the way Kantar approaches it, they are unique, but they're also meaningful to consumers.
Mm-hmm.
So I think from that perspective, understanding the role of being meaningful and different, I think is good. But the brand value and price elasticity, what the hell is that? Brands perceived as valuable can maintain higher prices with less pushback. Strong brand equity lowers price sensitivity and protects margins. So I think those kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
I don't know what you
think. There is a brand being perceived really different. There's one of the reports that she had, or in one of the reports or articles she had. Yeah. There's a graph there around brands being perceived really different along the x-axis, and then on the y-axis, willingness to pay. And so there's a strong positive correlation there. All that to say, like, I think when brands are perceived to be meaningfully different, they can do things like charge a price premium. And then that obviously drives profitability. And then having that price premium means you're able to withstand some more of the week to week, day to day, month to month changes of consumer discounting that you might need to do. But over time, it has a bigger impact on profitability.
Totally.
Which I think is part of that future power idea. I think The
That's a good
tricky
point.
part for me is whether you're using words like a concept like future power, willingness to pay price premium, brand equity, whatever the mental and physical availability. I think whatever it is, it needs to be something that's internalized in order to have better, meaningful conversations with finance. And that was one of the other things that she had talked about was
Mm-hmm.
having more financial conversations with financial and business language as opposed to just marketing speak. So whatever the concept is in marketing that we're talking about, I think ultimately it needs to come down to a business speak level.
Yep.
And I don't mean down to, it just means it needs to be translated. That's probably a better way.
Totally.
So that there's a clarity and an understanding of what we mean when we say things like pricing power and things like that.
I love that you brought that because, like, again, it's the ability to link brand metrics with business outcomes not only helps secure any sort of buy-in from financial teams. It goes back to, I think it was in a conversation. It's a future conversation. Sorry, because we're kind of recording these back to back with Charlotte Blank on the three big challenges that we're constantly facing as marketers, like defending budgets and things to that effect. So I think making sure you find that way to translate your any metric that you want to use. Like, I'm not going to here to say use this specific metric, whichever one tells the story the best for you in your organization, what you're trying to achieve. Find a way to link that to actual financial metrics, and that will be the biggest hurdle that you clear in your in this pursuit of maintaining, protecting budgets, asking for incremental budgets, etc.
And there's we talked a little bit about like the difference between a luxury brand like Gucci and say a low cost brand like Target, and so there's obviously differences. I think we mentioned somebody who buys a Gucci bag might actually end up being the same person who shops at Target at some point,
probably.
But there are like similar processes there, and because things like inflation happen and are a reality, the cost of goods goes up. Every brand, no matter if it's about everyday low prices or about expect more, pay less, or it's about true luxury, every brand does need to consider the future power of their brand to be able to increase price without decreasing volume.
Totally.
And so the idea of discounting, running discounts and promotions to acquire more of the customers that are in market today is important, but equally important is the ability to let new buyers know why something is worth it at our store or at our location or for our brand. Because that's the future power of the future buyers and the future group of people that are going to be tomorrow's new customers. And if they don't have a clarity on why something's worth it, then they're just going to look for the discount.
Yeah, no, dude. Yes, I completely agree. Completely agree with that. The one other thing that I think it was important to mention is like we talked about bridging brand and performance marketing. I know it seems like the multiplier effect really kind of brought another renaissance to that whole debate, if you will. And I think we have to appreciate that, excuse me, siloed marketing efforts can be costly, right? And integrating brand and performance ensures immediate results don't come at the expense of long-term equity. And again, that WARC study, the multiplier effect, we'll link it again in the show notes. I think we link it anytime we possibly can. It's an incredible study. But again, don't look at these two things as mutually exclusive. They need each other to operate. And of course, you're going to have products that maybe need less on the performance side, more you can just kind of lean more on the brand building, etc. Just by nature of products. I think of auto, for example, very rarely do you see like retargeting and remarketing ads. People are just, doing just big campaigns instead. But yeah, just make sure you're bridging those two things. And if they're on two different parts of a team internally, well, make sure that you're laying a bridge across them. If you happen to be lucky and they're all reporting under one similar structure, then, hit the accelerator on that. So,
I was speaking of the accelerators. We talked about the predisposing, the 3 growth accelerators. So predispose more people, meaning invest in advertising experience to get more people in front of, or get your brand in front of more people. Being more present, and so getting the physical brand available in more places, either through distribution or e-com or whatever the thing might be. The other part that I thought was really interesting, it was in finding new space. So addressing more customer needs, appealing to more usage occasions, looking at the possibility of opening new categories. I think that one is really interesting. We talked to, literally, we were just interviewing Charlotte, and then now we're recording this one.
I know.
Charlotte will come up in the future. So if you're listening to this, then you'll hear about Charlotte's interview soon. But yeah, like thinking about, we've talked about this a couple times. The idea of creating awareness is important.
Yes.
But maybe less important than creating situational awareness, which is idea, I think, finding new space, where it's the situational awareness or the salience, the recall of your brand in specific buying situations.
Yeah.
Which is independent of a persona. You know, you can have multiple personas that have a similar need. And so thinking about the market segmentation through the lens of category entry points or purchase triggers or user needs, as an example, is a really interesting way of finding new space, because then you can target that new space and build the brand links between your brand and that trigger or that need in a way that's different than just thinking about a persona.
Yes. You're on a roll today, man. Like I couldn't agree more with that. And I don't know if there's a finger that we need to point somewhere for us, going down these persona rabbit holes where we've, as a community, we've overvalued, probably trying to identify that when like there's I think it's been proven now that we need to be approaching things a little bit more, a lot differently than just kind of isolating personas and trying to find those personas. Because like you said, early on, someone that shops at Target could also buy a Gucci bag.
Right.
What's that persona?
Yeah.
Because those are two totally different people technically in those exercises.
Right.
Like a persona wouldn't pick up the nuance that just because someone appreciates luxury, isn't also price conscious.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
They seem to be in opposition of one another. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. But in the reality, they're probably not.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. So much stuff.
So good.
So good.
Yeah. Mary, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks again for joining us.
Thanks for the return tour. That was incredible. Another great conversation, Mary.
Yeah.
Mary.
And Mary.
There you
Is
go.
that it?
There you go.
Mary?
Yeah.
Huh.
He's Greek. Mark's Greek now.
It's like Mehry. Mehry.
Yeah. Mehry. Mehry.
Okay. That's the Greek way.
That's the Greek way.
Okay.
There you go.
I see I'm learning Greek already, V.
Attaboy. I told you, man. My brother from another mother.
All right. Well, until next time, we will we'll keep chasing that profitability.
That's all we do.
Use the meaningful difference framework for it.
That's all we do around here.
Yeah.
That's all we do.
If
Thanks
there's
for keeping
anything
us
we
serious.
can keep, I was just going to say, if there's anything we can keep doing to make ourselves more meaningfully and different so that you keep us in your ears, please do. Let us know.
Please let us know. Yeah, of course. Always open to feedback and sponsors.
And that.
And that.
All right, V. We'll talk to you
man.
soon.
That was great. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.